Okay, so welcome to Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is Digital Safety and Security. This is kind of an interesting chapter because it talks about some of the things that we can do to try to make our digital presence online and just our computer hardware and software a little bit more secure. So, first thing we're talking about is like some of the risks. It's a digital security risk is any event or action that could cause loss or damage to a computer or mobile device, hardware, software, very important, data, information, or processing capability. And there's different ways that these things are attacked, and we're going to discuss these throughout this chapter. Any illegal act involving the use of a computer or related devices generally is referred to as a computer crime. A cybercrime is an online or internet-based illegal act, and we'll discuss a few of these later on too. So this is like some of the things. This is some examples of like some of the problems that you're going to run into with security. We have network attacks. We have unauthorized use of computers. So someone who shouldn't be on a computer inside of a business or an organization is on the computer. Theft of hardware, theft of software, very important again. Theft of information, or another one is just like our computers die on us. We recently had a situation at work where a um, fire extinguisher pipe busted in a building and it flooded the building. And so we lost hundreds of PCs, but more important, we actually lost all the data that was on those PCs. So this stuff can be really, really, really bad if it happens. Okay, so these are some of the security risks out there. You got hackers and you got crackers. Hackers are folks who hack into things. Crackers are folks who like figure out ways to crack into or crack systems, crack into systems, crack into software that they shouldn't be up to. A script kiddie is like a young, I don't say young, but a kind of more of an amateur script person who uses quite often what they use is scripts that are written by hackers and crackers. They use those scripts to do other things with it. You have corporate spies, people who steal stuff from different corporations. This is a really big issue right now with China because apparently many corporations now are being uh, their corporations are being attacked by China, and they're stealing some of the corporate information. Whoops. Unethical employees. Employees get in there who do damage. Cyber extortionists. You see this a lot. This has become kind of a big deal recently where there'll be a something put on someone's computer and it's pretty much just a countdown like you pay us or we're going to destroy your data, and it's pretty much just holding their data or their information hostage until they get paid off. And then you have cyber terrorists, and these are folks who actually terrorists. I mean, they actually try to create havoc in a computer or an organization or even a nation. Okay, so these are like some of the different kinds of attacks that are out there. You have a virus, which is a potentially damaged program that affects or infects a computer or mobile device negatively by altering the way the computer or device works without the user's knowledge or permission. So that's a virus. A worm is a program that copies itself repeatedly, for example, in memory or on network using up resources and possibly shutting down the computer or mobile device. You have a Trojan horse. This is something that you bring in, and these things are common with shared files. It's a program that hides within or looks like a legitimate program. Unlike a virus or worm, a Trojan horse does not replicate itself to other computers or devices. A rootkit is something like a backdoor way into a computer. It's a program that hides on your computer or mobile device that allows someone from a remote location to take full control of the computer or device. We have spyware as a program placed on a computer or mobile device without the user's knowledge. It secretly collects information about the user and then communicates the information it collects to some outside source while the user is online. And then finally, you have adware. This is a program that displays an online advertisement, banner, or pop-up window, or web pages, email messages, or other services. So quite often what you'll see there is you'll be on a web page and all of a sudden you'll have these like flashing, bouncy pop-ups. And that's a good indication that you've got attacked with some kind of adware, which is all kind of a form of malware. It's just malicious software. Okay, so this is kind of an example of how things spread, even though this is actually kind of dated. So somebody sends an email, create a virus program, um, to delete all files. They hide the virus in a word processing document, so something like Word, and attach the document to an email. Step 2, they send an email message that contains the infected attachments to thousands of users around the world. So you got 3A and 3B. Some users open it and their devices are attacked. Their devices is infected with a virus. Other users do not. This is where things get weird. Other users do not recognize the name of the sender of the email message. These users do not open the email message. Instead, they immediately delete it. Okay, this is kind of dated because what's going on now is these folks who write these email messages, quite often what they do is there's something in this code now which will go to your contact list and it will email things out in your name. So it will email things out to folks on your contact list from you. So in other words, when this little lady over here gets the email, it's going to look like it's coming from someone she knows, so she will open it. So they've gotten pretty smart about these things. Okay, this is kind of interesting. I'm gonna. This is just talking about a denial of service attack, and I found a pretty good video that kind of explains it. So I'm gonna bring that in, and we'll watch that.
The first step in launching a distributed denial of service attack, or better known as a DDoS attack, is to recruit an army of bots. In order to turn a computer into a bot, attackers develop specialized malware, which they spread to as many vulnerable computers as possible. Malware can spread via compromised websites, email attachments, or through an organization's network. Any users tricked into running such malware will unintentionally turn their computer into a bot and provide an access point for attackers to their computer. Once a computer turns into a bot, it connects to the attacker's command and control servers, and it begins to accept orders from these centralized machines. The orders from the command and control servers include directions for launching an attack from the bot's malware to a particular target using selected attack methods. An army of bots is named a botnet and usually consists of thousands of bots. Anytime the botnet owners want to launch an attack, they send messages to their botnet's command and control servers with instructions to perform an attack on a particular target. Any infected machines in the botnet will comply by launching a coordinated, well-timed distributed attack, known as a DDoS attack. Launching a large-scale DDoS attack is not a difficult task to carry out. One doesn't need to create its own botnet, as various pay-for-hire DDoS services are available. Anyone using such a service can launch a powerful DDoS attack on a target of their choice for anywhere from $5 to $200 per hour, depending on the attack size and duration. An average duration of a DDoS attack is about 24 hours. The motivations behind DDoS attacks can be financially driven, pursuit of crippling a business competitor, hacktivism, political, or even just for fun. No one, however, should doubt the potential cost of a successful attack. The business impact of a DDoS attack is substantial and can involve financial losses, reputation damage, customer agitation, and legal repercussions. Want to know how to protect your online business from DDoS attacks? Contact Radware today.
Okay, so long and short of this is what goes on is like someone who wants to launch a DDoS attack, he releases a virus out on the internet. And what this virus does is it goes out and it scrolls around on the internet and it tries to infect computers. One thing that it looks for on these computers that it tries to infect is it wants some sort of high-speed internet connectivity. So in other words, it wants to be able to get to have some high-speed connectivity to get onto the network. And so it creates as it infects more and more and more computers, it creates this thing called a botnet. And a botnet is again a group of compromised computer or mobile devices connected to a network. Compromised computer or device is known as a zombie. So you have this army of bots that are out there that are just waiting. And so the person who controls the botnet at a particular time or date of his choosing can decide to use his botnet to attack a particular website. And so what goes on is like all of these computers that are compromised, that are part of this botnet, are all attacking the same site at the exact same time, and they bring that site down. Just attack it and attack, and by attacking, I mean just nothing more than saying, hitting it with like with pings. Just say, "Hey, are you there? Hey, are you there? Hey, are you there?" And the website can do nothing but respond to these things, and it actually brings it down. So that's what a denial of service attack is. And the denial of service attack is actually gotten to be where it's kind of a popular tool of hacktivists, people who want to bring down a website that they have an issue with, like people who have issues with the government. They'll attack government websites, or people who have like political leanings against a company. They'll attack that company. The group Anonymous is really big in denial of service attacks on particular sites that they find that they want to go. They attack organizations, that like they attack the Ku Klux Klan all the time just because they don't like them, and they'll attack their websites at every possible moment. It says a backdoor is a program or set of instructions. A set of instructions in a program that allow users to bypass security controls. So a backdoor is just pretty much what it describes. It's a backdoor way onto a computer. And then you have spoofing as a technique intruders use to make their network or internet transmission appear legitimate. So this is kind of used for phishing, and we'll discuss phishing in a little bit. Okay, so talking about firewall, and this is the representation of a firewall. And you have two kinds of firewall. You have a hardware firewall. This may be your router, or you have a software firewall like Windows comes with a firewall. And so what this does, this firewall does two things. It keeps stuff that should stay on your network. It keeps stuff that should not be on your network off of your network. So it won't let things pass through either way that shouldn't go through. So it's like this is your side of the network, this is the internet. And so this firewall is like just keeps things on which side of the network that they should be. Okay, this is different things that you can use to kind of control things. Access control defines who can access a computer device or network, when they can access it, and what actions they can take while accessing it. A computer device or network should maintain an audit trail that records both successful and unsuccessful attempts. So then again, here's like a login thing. So it's like, and this is like you've seen these. Like sometimes you have a user ID and a password. And quite often what it is like if you're unsuccessful, like you can only like log in like 3 times or something, and it will log you, it won't let that ID log in anymore. So it just kind of locks it. It won't let it log in anymore. So most things have a username or a password. You may have a passphrase, and then you also have this CAPTCHA, which you've seen these before. This is what CAPTCHA looks like. Whoops. There we go. It looks like one of these things where you have to type these 2 words in. Now what this does is quite often you can copy and paste text, and so quite often that's what people are doing, is just pasting text in here. But because this isn't really any kind of font, it's just something that there's no way that I could copy and paste that, because it's not any kind of font. It's not Times New Roman, it's not Calibri, it's not Arial. It's not any kind of font that I could copy and paste. So it takes a human being to look at this and actually interpret what that is and then type that in there. So I forget what this is. CAPTCHA stands for. It's like I can't remember, but you can Google that and it'll tell you what exactly that acronym stands for. I keep forgetting. Something about human and something. I don't know. Sorry. Okay, let's see. Biometric device. These are some things that you can use to make sure that you're supposed to get in. There's like 2. One is a possessed object or any item you must carry to gain access to a computer or computer facility. Sometimes this is as simple as an ID. Like where I work, it's like I have access. I can use my ID to get me into some rooms that are secure and other people can't get into. And then you also have like biometric devices. A biometric device authenticates a person's identity by translating a personal characteristic into a digital code that is compared with a digital code in a computer. So this is something just like a fingerprint scanner or a retinal scanner. One of those kinds of things. And here's some example: fingerprint reader, face recognition system, hand geometry system, voice recognition, voice verification, signature verification, iris recognition system. So these are like different ways that you can that it says, okay, this is who it's supposed to be. If you've got an iPhone, you can put your thumb on the button and that unlocks the phone. It reads your fingerprint. Digital forensics. This is kind of a career anymore. What this does is digital forensics is the discovery, collection, and analysis of evidence found on computers and networks. You'll notice, like, if you watch the news, if people are arrested for murder or terrorism or whatever, one of the first things they do when they go into like someone's home, one of the first things they do is pull out their computer. This is because there's like you leave a trail when you use a computer. And so they can like look at things like things that you've searched for, files that you've even deleted. There are ways that they can pull this out. That's why it's called forensics. I mean, they can actually get on your computer and determine a lot about what you've been doing on your computer. This group can. So, and it's used by law enforcement, criminal prosecutors, military intelligence, insurance agencies, information security department. Uh, so, like, even your company probably has some sort of forensic team that can get onto computers if they need to. Software theft. This is discussing actual stealing of software. Um, Whether you're doing it through file sharing things or you may be stealing it from your employer. So there's different ways that software companies are using to prevent software thing. It used to be like all you had to do was like install the software and it came with a key. Now it's gotten a little bit more sophisticated. Now, like, licenses do come with a key, but that key can only be used like one time. So, in other words, it used to be like, if I had a key, we could install like Windows on as many PCs as we want to, as long as we had that key. But now it's like it goes around and says, okay, you can only install this this software on one PC anywhere in the world. And if it's installed on multiple PCs, they know it and they'll shut it all down. So there's different ways that companies are getting around this whole software theft thing. So it's not as easy as it used to be. Not speaking from experience or anything. Single-use software license agreement typically contains the following condition. So this is a single-user license. Who can use that computer? And this is kind of important. You can install the software on one computer. Some license agreement allow users to install software on one desktop and one laptop. So sometimes you can have a software that, if you purchase it, you can install it on multiple devices. Sometimes not. You can make a copy of it as a backup. You can sell the software to another individual, but only if the software is removed from the computer first. So in other words, if I have a copy of software and I don't need it anymore and you want to buy it from me, I can sell it to you, but I have to uninstall it from my computer first legally and they give it to you. So you cannot install the software on a network. So in other words, you can't put the software on a network and allow multiple people to use the software. That's wrong. You can't give copies to friends and colleagues who will continue to use the software. I can't make copies of it and hand it out. I can't export the software. I can't rent or lease the software. So these are things that you can't do. Sometimes there are different licenses agreements. Sometimes these licenses are done per processor. So in other words, if you have a business that runs 3 shifts, and so you've got 3 different people that are going to be using the same computer throughout the day, a lot of licenses agreements, most do allow it per processor. So in other words, I can install it on one machine and all 3 people can use it. So it's not necessarily single user as in like person, it's single user as in like PC. Okay, this is talking about different kinds of encryption. And here's some example. Transposition just means moving the characters. Substitution, where you substitute one letter with another. This is where you insert things in here. So it's like they inserted the Y after every character. Compaction, every 3rd letter removed, so activation is converted to this. So these are different ways of encrypting things. And it's like they're generally like an encryption code and a key. So somewhere is like one side is encrypting it and on the other side is a key to unencrypt it. Digital signature is an encrypted code that a person, website, or organization attaches to an electronic message to verify the identity of the sender. Sometimes you'll see that you go on a website and say that it doesn't necessarily recognize a digital signature. Do you want to continue? And it's just kind of a warning to say, hey, we're not totally sure that this site is legitimate. Kind of like go forth on your own. Peace be with you. Good luck. This is a digital certificate is a notice that guarantees the users that the user or website is legitimate. A website that uses encryption techniques to secure its data is known as a secure site. And so here's an example. Like here's Amazon. This little S here, because it's HTTPS. This means it's a secure website. You also see this lock at the very end. So like if you go to buy something on Amazon, you will see these two things, HTTPS and this lock, that lets you know that the data is encrypted and it's going through a secure system. So we'll talk about theft and vandalism. Hardware theft is the act of stealing digital equipment. Hardware vandalism is the act of defacing or destroying digital equipment. Part of this is just to remember, it's like if you're using a company's device, it is their device. You can't steal it and you can't deface it. Don't put stickers on it. Don't do those kinds of things because it does belong to somebody else. To help reduce the chances of theft, companies and schools use a variety of security measures. These are some of the things that different organizations are using to prevent theft of equipment and theft of data. Physical access control, alarm system, physical security devices, device tracking app, hardware failure safeguards, a surge protector, so prevent any kind of loss due to like lightning strikes or power surges, an uninterruptible power supply. What this means is like your computer's actually running on a battery all the time. The battery's being charged because it's plugged into a wall. And if the power goes out, your computer stays running long enough for you to safely shut everything down, so you're not losing any of the work that you're working on before the power goes out. Duplicate components and duplicate computers. This is another kind of backup, and fault-tolerant computers. Things that are going to be a little bit more secure and won't crash as often. Backing up. A backup is a duplicate of a file or program or media that can be used if the original is lost, damaged, or destroyed. Backup means just make a copy of it. Sometimes you want to any files that you think are important, you want to back them up somehow. And by backing up, you've got to be careful about what this means. Doesn't mean making another copy of it somewhere else on your hard drive, because one of the first things to fail on a computer is the hard drive. So you don't want to make a backup on that hard drive. You want to make a backup on something else, an external drive or a thumb drive or something like that, or even some kind of cloud storage. Now the cloud storage has an advantage, because let's suppose that you make a backup of your hard drive onto an external drive, and then unfortunately your house burns down. You've lost both of them. So what this cloud storage is kind of an off-site way that if something happens, it's still out on the web and you can get hold of your data if you need to. These are different kinds of backups: full backup, differential backup, incremental backup, selective backup, continuous data protection. Probably like businesses do things like a full backup and then they do a differential backup or an incremental, one of the two. So what it is like they do a full backup and then later on they'll do one of these two, a differential or an incremental, just to also get a copy of things that change. So in other words, if you have a full backup, if you did a full backup on Monday and then you did an incremental backup on Friday that only copies things that have changed since the full backup, using both of these together, the full backup and the incremental backup, you have everything. Because you've got the full backup, which has everything on Monday, and you've got the incremental backup, which is the changes that have happened since Monday. So you have everything. But on your computer, on your home computer, what you're interested in is a selected backup. You're really only interested in things that you think are important: your pictures, your your documents that you created, those kinds of things that can't be recreated. So these, and really in business, they're kind of doing the same thing. But a selective backup, so you're really interested in getting to things that you need that you can't recreate. You cannot recreate pictures of your children. You need to back those up somewhere. So just do a selective backup. It's always a good idea to do backups. Wireless security, wireless access poses additional security risks. Some intruders intercept and monitor communications as they transmit through the air. Others connect to a network through an unsecured wireless point, WAP, or combination router, WAP. So this is just like securing your network. You can find unsecure networks everywhere. Securing network just means that you say who can be on your computer. Some of them are a little bit stronger than others. It's just that you have a password, so anyone who wants to connect wirelessly to your network, they have to get to you and get the password to connect to your network. Or you can do something a little bit stronger, which is like a MAC address list that says, okay, only these devices can be on my network. And it doesn't matter whether they have the password or not. Their device has to be on my router. And it's like I have to have a list of saying this particular device can get into my network. No other devices can get in. So there's different ways that you can do this to protect your network. Computer ethics are moral guidelines that govern the use of computers and mobile devices and information system. Information accuracy is a concern. Not all information on the web is correct. Who knew that everything on the internet was not real? We all know that. Okay, intellectual property. Intellectual property refers to the unique or original works such as ideas, inventions, art, writings, processes, company and product names and logos. Intellectual property rights are the rights to which creators are entitled to their work. A copyright protects any tangible form of expression. Digital rights management is a strategy designed to prevent illegal distribution of movies, music, and other digital content. This came into big play when Napster was around. People were selling music, not necessarily selling music, but they were distributing music like crazy. And they may not have ever necessarily been doing it for profit. They may have just been giving it away. But this says my work, my intellectual property is mine, and I have rights to protect it. So these are some of the code of conducts to determine whether a specification is ethical, unethical, allowed, not allowed. So these are things that, technology can be used to harm to other people. Employees may not meddle into others' files. Employees may use technology for a purpose which have been authorized. There's a list of these things. I'll let you read these things in the textbook, but there's a whole lot of them out there. Like every year at work, I have to sign this agreement that I will not do anything here that says that I should not do. I'm not going to meddle in somebody else's computers, because as a technician, I have rights to get into places that if I wanted to, I could do some things that I probably shouldn't be doing. So this just says, this is me signing off saying I will not do any of these things. And I understand that if I do some of these things, I'm probably going to get canned. Green computing involves reducing the electricity and environmental waste while using computers, mobile devices, and related technology. So there's certain things that we use, like the Energy Star, which means it's just going to use less electricity. And then we also have the reducing environmental waste. So if you have like old electronics or something like that, you can actually take these things to Best Buy and they will recycle them properly for you. Information privacy refers to the right of individuals and companies to deny or restrict the collection or use of information about them. Use databases, store data online. It's important to safeguard your information. So these are some of the things that you should do. Again, these are in the book. These are some of the things that you should do to kind of protect your information out there. A lot of times it's it's just sometimes it's just as simple as lying. Like sometimes, like if I'm at Lowe's or something like that, they'll ask for my phone number. It's like I never give my phone number. It's like I give like a bogus phone number. Information about you can be stored in a database when you fill out a printed online form, create a social network profile, register a product. So anytime you fill out a form online, just take it to the bank that all of that information is going into a database somewhere. They're not just collecting it and throwing it away. That information is going somewhere, it's being stored. So somewhere out there, there's a file in a database about whatever it is that you entered in. Now, that's not necessarily saying they're doing it for unethical purposes. You're a customer, you may be their customer, and they just want to make things easier for you if you purchase from them again. Make it easy for you to track their orders or those kinds of things. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just remember that anytime you fill out a form, it's going into a database somewhere. Talk about cookies. Cookies sometimes get a bad rap. Sometimes they're very very helpful. I'll use this as an example. Amazon uses cookies. Here's Amazon's website. This is something I just logged into. So this is Amazon's website. And you can see here things like I was looking for books. Recently, I was looking for a cup to keep my coffee hot at work, and these hydro flasks are really really good. So I was looking at it. So these are things that I have been shopping for. I recently bought a stereo. Just things that I have looked at recently, and so it remembers. And the reason it remembers is because there's a cookie on my computer that says, "Hey, you went here. Here's what we got." And it's kind of weird because it's like this. You'll see this if you log on to different computers that you have an account. This cookie says, "Okay, this is Chris Burr," even though he's on a different computer. It's kind of cool. And so this is like how a cookie works. It says that when you enter an address or website, the browser searches your hard disk for a cookie associated with that website. So you type in Amazon.com. Here it's going to Omaha Steaks. It's looking for a cookie. Step 2, if the browser finds a cookie, it sends the information to the website. So it sends the information to Amazon saying, "Hey, Chris Burr is back on the computer." So you may want to change the web page to show the coffee cup he was looking at before. So this is the way cookies work. And like I said, they're not necessarily bad things. It does make shopping a little bit easier. Phishing is this game in which a perpetrator sends an official looking email messages that attempts to obtain personal information or financial information. Clickjacking is an object that can be clicked on a website that contains a malicious program. So here's an example of phishing. This is one I found. This is like an email from UC Davis. So here's some of the things that you look for. I mean, it looks like from UC Davis, which is a college, but here's some examples. An odd from address. So it doesn't say anything about UC Davis in the from address. That's a clear indication that there's a problem. This is also really good, especially like if they're business emails. They're not going to have grammatical errors or punctuation errors like 5 exclamation point. That's something that a teenager does. That's not something a business does. They don't have grammatical or punctuation errors. Like here's like your email account has been reported for numerous spams activities. So it's got an S that it doesn't need. Here's like it's got a comma instead of a period. Here we have a comma and not a space. So this is an indication. If you see these, then you kind of know that there's a problem. Here we have a link to an external website. Nothing from UC Davis. This is going someplace crazy. Here we have use of threats. Failure to do this will violate UC Davis email terms and conditions. This will render your account inactive. So just got to be just look at everything very, very, very suspiciously. Sometimes it's kind of freaky, some of the things that you get, and you find out that it's actually some kind of phishing plot. Okay, employee monitoring involves the use of computers, mobile devices, and cameras to observe, record, and review an employee's use of technology. Here's the short of this, just to remember this. There is absolutely no guarantee of privacy when using your employer's equipment. This means something as simple as the use of their computer, any searches or anything that you do. It may be the use of their wireless network. So in other words, if my phone is connected to their wireless network, they have the right to monitor my traffic over that. So just really, really be mindful that when you're using your employer's, your school, whoever's equipment, they have a right to monitor that. It's theirs. So there's no guarantee of privacy when using your employer's equipment. Content filtering is a process of restricting access to certain material on the web. Web filtering restricts access to specified websites. That if you work for an employer and they say, okay, you're not going to be surfing around on risque or porn sites, they can turn those things off. And if you try to go to them again, you're going to get a flag raised. So it can say, you can't go to these websites. Like at work, I can't go to Facebook. It's like UPS has said no Facebook. And so if I try to go to Facebook, I get this little warning message saying, hey, this violates UPS terms of service and blah, blah, blah. So it won't let me go there. So, all right, that is chapter 5. See you in next time we're going to move into Office and Windows. So have a good day.